This is FCA's Beyond the Game, where faith meets sports. We go beyond the post-game sound bites to real conversations with coaches and athletes who lead by example in every game, match, meet, or moment. We're glad you're here. Now, let's go beyond the game.
Welcome to FCA's Beyond the Game. I'm your host, Mike Leeser. Happy to be joined by two Tech athletes from Georgia Tech. Guys, thanks for being here. Why don't you introduce yourself first? We'll start here with Isabella.
Thank you so much for having us here today. Very honored to be here talking about the Lord and talking about FCA. My name is Isabella Turner. I run cross country and track and field at Georgia Tech and have been there since 2020.
Awesome.
I'm Liv Mogridge. I play volleyball at Tech, and I got to college in 22, but Georgia Tech in 2023.
Excellent. Well, appreciate y'all taking time to be with us. I know middle of exams and everything else that's going on, so there's a lot you could be doing today, but you're here with us, so thank you for spending some time with us. Isabella, let's start with you. Starting in 2020, starting college. So you're in your sixth year?
Yes,
Okay.
getting my master's now.
Okay, awesome. So talk just a little bit about, I guess just to back up, let's start, how did you get to Tech?
Okay, that's a good story.
Yeah.
I did not want to come to Tech originally. Was very against going far from home. I'm from New Jersey, so I wanted to go max 3 hours drivable distance. And when my coach presented Georgia Tech to me and how great the Biomedical Engineering program was, how great the coaches were, I still did not want it because of that distance, and my community was back home. But on the trip, on the official visit, it was the first time that I ever felt connected to the coaches, like they could understand the struggles that I was going through. I, at the time, hadn't raced in 2 years. So this is me trying to be recruited for D1 athletics, not having any times since my sophomore year of high school. So a lot of offers were rescinded, but these two coaches saw potential in me, and that meant the world. And then also the biomedical engineering program, like I mentioned before, once I talked to the academic advisors at Tech, I realized it was so different than any of the other engineering programs I had looked at. So it was pretty easy to make my decision after that. And that was in January of 2020. So
right before everything went insane. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was probably one of the last people to have an official visit. And I'm very fortunate that I did because I got to meet the team and see how great this program was.
That's cool. That's great. And Liv, for you, I know journey's a little different. Why don't you kind of share with us?
Yeah, so I actually committed to Carolina during COVID. I went to UNC first for a year. I committed when I was 16, which I think is way too early for anybody to make a decision like that. Carolina was great. I spent a year there. I kind of decided by the end of my freshman year that I just wanted a little bit better volleyball. I wanted to play at a little bit higher level, and we had some stuff happen behind the scenes that just wasn't fun, especially for a first year coming in and trying to mesh with a program that wasn't meshing. And then I went in the portal and within 2 weeks committed to Georgia Tech, and I've been there for 3 years, and I graduate this week. So that's crazy. But yeah, it was a lot of my decisions were made because of volleyball and because I wanted to be around coaches and other players that want to play professionally as I do. So just getting to be in that environment was super good for me, and kept my goals where they needed to be. And also coming to Tech, I got to become a part of FCA and then become a part of FCA leadership and do encounter, and without coming to Tech, I wouldn't have found all those things. So
Great. So and Isabella, you said New Jersey, right?
Yes.
Where you grew up? Liv, where'd you grow up?
I kind of grew up everywhere. We live in Tampa right now.
Okay.
We've been there for 5 years. So we've gone kind of up and back down the East Coast a few times.
Gotcha. Dad's a coach?
College football, yeah.
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 So that's, college football coach
Yeah.
in the military, I guess. That's kind of the life, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, what was that like growing up a daughter of a coach?
It was really fun.
Yeah.
My family we're so close because of how many times we've moved and just how much different schools, like by the time I moved out when I was 18, I had lived in 18 different houses. So my sisters are my best friends. They came everywhere with me. I love my parents. They're awesome. My dad definitely impacted how I play sports, my view of sports. And it was always really cool that like he has a room of 20 guys and they kind of came home with him in a way. Like it felt like I had 20 big brothers. Like they would come over on Thanksgiving. They came over on my birthday. So his work family was our home family as well. So he did a really good job of just making it all one in the right way.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you'd been in the South, I guess, before coming to Tech, but what was your, okay, the South's different moment moving from New Jersey to Atlanta?
I would say probably the way that people were so welcoming, and this may have just been my teammates. They, like the first time I met them, they were like, okay, let's go to Target. Like, we're going shopping. You want to go to Chick-fil-A? Like, what are we doing next? And I was like, whoa, hold up. I just met these people. And maybe it was just my roommates were special and they were excited to start building relationships. But I was definitely a little more hesitant, and seeing how they were willing to share their life with me so quickly was really cool and really different. I come from a big family, so I'm used to sharing my life with my family unit and grew up with great friends. But it was just, the Southern accent, something sweeter about that.
I'm told I have a Southern accent. I don't know if I hear it or not. I'm just teasing. That's funny.
A little bit of a drawl.
Just a little bit. It's okay. That's cool. Well, so to take me back to 2020. So January, you visit. The world shuts down. A couple months later, everything is insane. So then fast forward to August? Did you move before August? When did you move down to Tech?
It was the beginning of August.
Okay.
Yep.
So
what first week?
What was life like trying to be a D1 athlete in a major program in the middle of a pandemic? Like walk us through that. Like I can't even imagine.
Yeah, they had us go into practice around 5:50 every morning to start our COVID testing, and we did all of our warm-ups with the masks on. We weren't able to go into the shared athletic spaces, so everything was with the team. It was pretty isolating, but I will say the Lord was working in that isolation because he planted me in a community of people that were really strong believers, and our team at the time was really rooted in the Lord. So being isolated with them, it was kind of like this microcosm of we're living with the Lord, we're doing life with the Lord. And at the time, I wasn't walking with the Lord. So coming into that's another thing about a cultural shift that I noticed coming to the South was there was this like cultural undertone of Christianity, and sometimes not even undertone, sometimes overtone. Sometimes it was just like out there. And I think it's beautiful now, but when I first came, I didn't understand it. I grew up Catholic, and a lot of New Jersey has religious, different religions. It's kind of a melting pot. People from all over come. So, spending time with the team in 2020 was difficult, being away from family, but also my teammates started to become my family very quickly. So it was living in the tension of this is weird, this is hard, the world is really shaky right now. I would say that there was a lot of outside pressure too, and a lot of uncertainty with what was happening in the world. But then also it felt like we were living in a bubble at times. Yeah.
Liv, for you, I guess you're in high school, and this is all going down. So trying to be recruited, trying to make those decisions, what was life like for you, and just trying to just figure it out?
Yeah, I mean, my recruiting process was very unique. I was in between the rule changes for volleyball specifically of you can kind of talk at any time to you can't talk until your junior year. So I actually got my first offer to college when I was 13. Wow. And from there, it just kind of went crazy. And I was a 6 foot tall 13-year-old. Like, it was a weird situation. And so that rule passed the end of my freshman year of high school. And then, so everything went quiet for about a year and a half, 2 years. During that time, I got hurt, and the injury was a little bit more significant than we thought. It required 2 knee surgeries. It was a mess. And to talk to all those people leading up to that, and then it go quiet and you can't explain anything, it was just, everybody was just kind of in the dark. And so I had some people, once the rule opened back up, and I was a junior, I'm 17 at this point, I'm still in the aftermath of being injured, and I've just been cleared to start working out again, but everything's closed because of COVID. And so it turned into working out at home and working out with, thank goodness for my dad, like him having the resources he had with football and helping me get back to being comfortable and playing on the court and things like that. But it was a lot of having to explain to different coaches what was going on and answering different questions that I didn't think I would get. And so it was just a lot of like kind of communicating after the fact. So when I committed to Carolina, I had 2 or 3 schools back out on me that I was pretty serious about. And I'm 16, so anytime a school backs out, it's just scary. It's like, well, crap, like I've got to find where I'm going to college.
To the injury? Was that the reason? Or?
The injury, and just I had been out for a year. Like, it's just scary. It's hard, and I get it. Like, they're trying to build their future the same way I am. So, when Carolina they offered 4 years up front, and I was like, okay, good, this is awesome, let's take it. And it was very quick. Like, I didn't even tell my parents. Like, I did it in a phone call. And looking back, should have had a few more conversations about that. But so recruiting was weird. But I mean, Carolina was great for a year, and then much easier the second time around, kind of knowing how to do it and having had those conversations before, and just being older was a little easier.
Yeah, I think being, now looking back, obviously you both can see like God's plan for your life and the things that worked out. But in the middle of it, Isabella talking about like you weren't a believer when you moved down, just navigating some of that, like what was going through your mind, trying to figure that all out, and just searching for community, searching for purpose, searching for those things. Mm-hmm. Like it's just, it's a crazy, crazy time. Talk to us about that, like just those first few years and being at Tech and just your journey.
Mm-hmm. The first few years were rough. It was a really hard time where I felt like in my mind I had this image of me just like drowning and hanging on to whatever I could find to keep me afloat. I would soon find out that it was the Lord keeping me up the whole time. But there were some days when I wanted to call it quits, either go home, drop out of school. Like some days got really dark because I wasn't rooted in anything other than my purpose that I had created in my head, which started to fall apart when I got into college, started at Georgia Tech, had several injuries that took me out of running. And without having the community, without having my family nearby, everything that was certain was at this time falling apart. So yeah, it was really rough those first few years, and there was so much growth that happened because of the Lord's grace and because of the Lord's hand in the story the whole time. And I honestly feel like those first few years were just like a back and forth with the Lord. I felt the pull, but I didn't want to trust him yet because I had been let down in the past by religious things, or I had been let down in the past by people. So in my head, it was not something that I could give myself over to. So, but the FCA family, I would say, was instrumental. They were the reason that I was able to get through many days those first few years of college. And I think it was the outpouring of love that they had because of the Lord's love.
Yeah, because you mentioned, I'm assuming an injury in high school had kept you from running, from racing before, and then overcoming injuries and setbacks in college. Looking back, in those moments, it's easy to go, why is this happening?
It was so easy to do that.
Why is this, happening to me? Why do I have to deal with this? How come I can't? Obviously now you can look back and go, okay, wow, I see what God was trying to teach me through that. But getting through that time, Liv, you talk about an injury, like what's that like for you, just trying to find your way? And I guess talk a little bit about your background, your history, your testimony, I guess, where your faith was during those times as well.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in a house where like we knew Jesus. My parents are both believers. I knew that my parents made me sit in church on Sunday, and they made me go to Sunday school. And I knew that I needed to pray before I went to bed, and we prayed before we ate dinner, and I knew all the stories and everything. But like when I got hurt, I realized what my identity was in. And when I got as much attention as I got so young, it became, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, this is the purpose God gave me. Like, I'm supposed to play volleyball. And so saying that, like, that's the purpose God gave me, I forgot that God did it. So, like, it was kind of just everything became about volleyball. It became about workouts. It became about tournaments, practice. Like, I had been preached to my whole life by coaches and having family in coaching. Like, the only thing you can really trust in that field is yourself and the work that you're putting in. So you don't really lean on anything else. You just kind of trust what you're doing. And when I got hurt and I had that taken from me, I realized, like, okay, my identity was in volleyball and I was idolizing the work. So we're kind of can't do either of those things right now, and that's kind of hard. And it was just this amazing, like, he literally met me where I was at. God didn't ask me to pick myself up. He didn't ask me to put anything together. He just said, like, here's where we are, and we're going to keep moving, and we're going to do this one day at a time, and I'm going to put people in your life that are going to help you and that are going to make this work. So me and my sister we did like the public declaration at our church when I was 17. And from there, I got to college. I had an awesome teammate get me into FCA, and we had Athletes in Action at the time as well. So we did both of those. And I end up in college, I get hurt again. And it's just been a roller coaster of trying to navigate all of that. But just the overwhelming peace that you have knowing that God's in your corner is like, it's so much easier than trying to do it alone again.
That's great.
So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think too, being like, you're both elite athletes, and your life, has been about your performance. For athletes, like, that's, I think one thing that drives us, like, we control our performance. That's what it's about. That's what our identity so often, is wrapped up in. And we earn everything we get, right? You earn playing time. You earn your scholarship. You earn, your starting position, all these things. But then when it comes to Christ, there's nothing we can do to earn it. Like, how hard was that for you to wrap your mind around, to even come to grips with, like, okay, everything in my life to this point has been, I've got to earn it. I've got to work for it. I've got to achieve. But you're telling me there's nothing I can do to earn this. Like, did you have a hard time getting there?
Absolutely. The works for me was like number one. I had to see the steps to get there. Like, in sports, you know what you have to do to reach a goal. You make a plan, you have a timeline, and you just start checking off boxes, and it's on you to show up every day and to perform. So yes, for sure, when it came to my relationship with Christ, I think that's where a lot of the anger at the Lord started, because it was like, God, I'm doing all the things that you tell me to do. I'm being a good person. I'm, serving, I'm giving back, yet I still feel so empty, or I still feel so broken, or, insert whatever you're feeling at the time. And it's like, I thought I'm doing everything right. So why is it still not working out? But that's a completely wrong way to look at the gospel. And it was in those years of pruning and sanctification that the Lord was showing me. You know, sometimes it's when we rest, or sometimes when we take a step back and allow him to lead, that we can truly start to see a beautiful relationship with the Lord.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Liv, what about for you?
It's incredibly hard, and I'm still wrestling with it. Like, I'm a bit of a control freak with volleyball specifically, because I do want to play at a very high level, and I want to continue playing and coaching at a very high level. And there is a degree of work that goes into that, but I do feel like knowing my foundation and knowing what that work is rooted in and who I'm working for plays into that. And just understanding that I didn't have to earn it was like the hardest thing in the world, because everything I've ever done has been about earning, whether it was a grade, whether it was hitting a max, whether it was like getting X amount of reps, hitting a certain percentage. Just knowing that none of that was involved was crazy. And like, I don't know, through my whole testimony and everything, the verse that comes to mind is like, all those who are weary and burdened, come to me, I'll give you rest. And rest is like the hardest thing in the world for me. And it's something we talked about a lot in Encounter, just understanding Sabbath and understanding that, like, no, God designed a day for you to rest and for you to recover and restore yourself. And I didn't know how to do that previously, and I'm still learning how to.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a relationship with Christ, but yet everything wasn't fixed. You still had to keep working. You still had to keep figuring things out. You still have to wrestle with resting. So like that, I think for some people, they think, oh, wait, if I give my life over to the Lord, like it's just going to be sunshine and rainbows now. It's all going to be easy. But you mean to tell me that's not how it works? That's crazy. So that's good though. I appreciate you sharing, you know, kind of what that looks like for you, and that you're still working at it. You know, I think it's easy for us to think, well, if I don't quite have it all figured out, or if I'm still wrestling, something must be wrong. That's not the case. We're growing in that relationship. The Lord's still teaching us things. He's trying to show us things still. So I think that's helpful for others to hear. Like it's still a process.
Oh, absolutely. And there's still questions to be asked, and there's still doubts that come up in that process. But the Lord always has answers. He doesn't back down from anything that we're confused about. Yeah. And I think that's why it's so important to be doing it in community, because even if you can't see the truth, someone around you in your community, the Lord's going to use them to speak truth to you.
You both kind of mentioned Encounter. For those that are watching, listening, that don't know what that is, help us out. Tell us about Encounter.
It is amazing.
Encounter is the best summer internship you could ever do.
Plug that.
Yes.
Highly recommend it.
Yes, if you get the chance, do it. It's about 8 weeks. You live together. You're in constant community.
It's
hardcore discipleship. Yeah.
FCA internship's just the word we call it, but it's a discipleship
for sure.
program. Yeah, that's great.
So you're living in community. You're also working in the community through different serving ministries. One that we got involved with was Frontline Ministries, and the time there was so special. Really enjoyed that. And then all of the teachings that you'll go through. Well, I just remember sitting on the couch every day and being blown away by the next thing I would learn about the Lord. And then we'd read another scripture and learn something, and I'd be like, what's happening? Like,
That's great.
There were so many things being revealed. So I think the way that the Lord works through the internship is also really special, because you're living in community where every day it's wake up and walk with the Lord, and you're practicing these spiritual rhythms with each other. Yeah. So you'll see the Lord work in really incredible ways, even in the small stuff. But then also, like, people get baptized during it. That's where I got baptized. My FCA leader baptized me that summer. So there's incredible things like that happen. And then there's also conversations that you'll have with a stranger in the park. And it's like, this is what we're meant to do, be out here sharing the gospel.
That's great. Liv, for you, what was something that the Lord taught you during that time?
Oh my goodness. Encounter absolutely changed my life. It changed my perspective on just what a relationship with the Lord looks like and how intimate it can be. I've said this before, but I knew God. I knew him as a father. I knew him as a leader. I knew him as an authority figure. I knew what fearing him looked like. I knew that I needed to love him. I knew what the Bible said. Like I knew the logical things. And then going to Encounter and understanding that like he offers a comfort as well. And he wants to sit with you in that suffering, and he wants that relationship with you. And he literally wants the prayers that are like, hey God, this happened today and it was really annoying and I really need some help. Like he wants like the simple conversations you would have with your friend. And through Encounter, getting to learn that. And then I have 2 younger sisters at home that are building their relationship, and one's walking through college for the first time and the other one is in 8th grade and getting ready to enter high school and volleyball for real. And so getting to share those lessons with them and actually knowing how to do it was really big, because I don't know if it was the same for your summer, but it was like we learned the lesson, we learned how to teach the lesson, and then we actually got to go teach it. Mm-hmm. So we got to go work a camp at St. Simon's. One of the best experiences of my life. I can't wait to go back and do it again. But actually getting to see putting what we learned to practice in like a real environment was really, really cool.
Talk to me a little bit about balance. So D1 athlete at Georgia Tech, the rigor is insane, like just the demands academically, everything else. But then you're also, you're walking with the Lord, you're trying to navigate that. Like, what has that been like for you, trying to kind of have your arms around everything else, not to mention just life on top of that, all the things that come up. So for you, like, what does balance look like? How have you done this, basically?
That's a loaded question. That's hard. I think community is the number one thing. The way that I balance it, it's scheduling time for pouring into others, but also scheduling in time to be poured into. Something that I have pretty consistently had in my schedule is time with an FCA leader. First it was Shanta and then Kristen. Have that time, that touch point throughout the week where you can lay it all out, talk about the highs, the lows, where you saw God, and you can break it down with them to see like, okay, what do I need to address this week? What can I do? What's in my control? What do I need to give over to the Lord? What do I need to surrender to the Lord? So that's number one. I think it's super important to allow someone into your life and walk with you. And number two, like I said, the schedule, have that calendar. I think that it was hard at first because I wanted the Holy Spirit to be guiding my life and directing my life. And when I started putting together my calendar that was like back to back to back to back, I was like, oh, where is the Holy Spirit going to move in this? But that's confining to what our Lord can do in the moment. So I think it's knowing your priorities, knowing what can fall by the wayside and what is an absolute must, what needs to get done. Communication, that's another huge one I've had to learn in college, is no one's reading your mind. No one's going to do it for you. Like, you may think someone's on the same page, and then you realize, oh, wait, we're thinking two different things. I think there's just a lot of grace that you need to offer yourself to in balancing.
That's good. Liv, for you?
Probably not the best person to be talking about balance. I'm a huge planner person. I love a to-do list. If I can write it down and cross it off, it makes me really happy crossing the paper. I would say as far as community goes, somebody told me a really good just piece of advice that was like, have someone running with you, and having someone running with you, someone ahead of you and someone behind you is a really great way to just kind of keep yourself in check a little bit, like especially in your walk with faith and with God. Like, if I have somebody doing this with me and learning with me, we can work together on it. If I have somebody ahead of me, I have someone mentoring me. If I have somebody behind me, I'm bringing someone with me. So I think that way you're constantly pouring into something and being poured into. And that's so fulfilling, and it It's what we're called to do. We're called to find community. So, yeah. And then balancing like school and volleyball, I'm not very good at balancing those two. Like volleyball it's what I want to do. It's what I'm passionate about. And I know with volleyball and the doors that it's opened, it's allowed me to get a degree that's going to hopefully help me out the rest of the way. And I can't have one without the other. So they both have to be done, and they need to be done well.
Have you felt pressure
Absolutely.
during all this time?
Absolutely. 100%.
Like intense pressure?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How do you deal with that? I think not only how do you deal with that, if you could go back and prepare younger you, go back and talk to 16, 17-year-old you before you go to college and give some tips, like, what would you say? Because I can't even imagine just the weight of it and the pressure and the expectations from others. Like, how have you navigated that?
So as much as I said I love planning, I would definitely tell my younger self to take it day by day. And I learned this early on with my injuries in college, because as soon as an injury happened, we got the news back, I'd go to my coaches and I'm like, okay, this is the 8-week plan. The doctor said 8 weeks. I want to see my recovery on day one of the injury. And then usually by the end of the 8 weeks, injury was not cooperating, pushes back the timeline, and you end up getting even more discouraged. So that goes into thinking about tomorrow, and what comes after is you're trying to plan the course of your life. And that's what the Lord is there for. He's there to guide you through that. So as much as I love the planning, I would allow myself to take it day by day and take it step by step. That's something I've had to learn through college, that the Lord is planning each and every step, and trust him in that.
Yeah. It's hard to trust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been there.
It really is.
Like, I trust you, but if this could just work out, then I could trust you easier.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not always like that.
Right. It's definitely not. I think there have been times though in the past when I've tried to hold it all together and I end up feeling all over the place, in contrast to the times when I surrender it to the Lord and I allow other people into it, and he'll always make it better. So I think because I've seen instances like that where I'm like, oh, I can't trust him, I need to hold it all together, and then it kind of just like blows up. It has, my faith has grown in that he can handle it.
Liv, for you, what would you tell younger Liv?
Probably just how important it is to be obedient. Like, he's talking to you whether you're listening or not. And a lot of my growing up, and especially in sports, it was, like, stop. Like, this, I need to see this. I need to see what this is happening. And especially with rehab, and very similar to your story, like, my injury went from being 3 to 4 months to being 4 to 6 to being 6 to 9. It was very just drawn out, and had I listened and taken care of myself the way that the doctors were telling me to, my parents were telling me to, probably God was telling me to, but I wasn't listening at the time. Like, we could have shortened that. And knowing that my injuries come from overworking, and they have come from pushing my body when it didn't need to be pushed, even because I was trying to fill something. I was trying to fill this, like, I need to serve it. I need to fix it. I need to work. I need to do all these things. And that also stemmed from a lot of pressure and a lot of trying to please a lot of the people around me, rather than just, like, this wouldn't be happening if God didn't put it here. He's calling you to do something with it. Be obedient to what he's telling you. It's the same as, like, if your parent was telling you to do something. Like, my mom told me to wash the dishes. I got to go wash the, the same kind of thing. So again, just seeing God as a father rather than just a voice going on back here. Yeah.
You've both touched on community and the importance of community. I think that's something that a lot of our athletes, and the younger generation, our generation, struggle with. It's just because everything is just on that phone or online, and you can go close your door and sit in your room and never come out, and you can be just you and your thoughts. So for somebody who's struggling to find community, or is searching for it, can't find it, wants it so badly, like, what's your word of encouragement there, or even maybe just a testimony for you, like how you overcame some of that Liv, I mean, have you struggled with that? Have you struggled with just being isolated and wanting to be left alone, yet at the same time wanting community?
Yeah, absolutely. As far as the social media thing goes, my parents were really great about, like, I didn't get Instagram until I was 18. I didn't get a phone until I was 14. Like, I didn't have access to a lot of the things a lot of kids have now. Like, I look at my sister, she's 13, she's had a phone for 4 years. I'm like, this is crazy. So I didn't have to deal with a lot of that stuff. But as far as looking for community, not knowing how to find it, like, college is hard. And when you're walking into it, like, it's really big and there's a lot of people and there's a lot of different things pulling you a lot of different ways. And especially walking into a locker room, like, our team specifically is very international and we have people coming from all over the world. So just, again, like, knowing what you're rooted in and kind of not standing for anything less than that, I think was really big for me. Finding that, like, firmness in my faith and in what I believed. And, like, I'm so lucky. Like, I have 2 sisters that are amazing. And if I need community or I need to talk to somebody and I don't want to talk to anybody Georgia Tech related, like, I can go call my sisters and they're going to fill that void for me. So I'm blessed in that.
Isabella, for you, was there a time where you felt isolated, you felt alone, you felt like...
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a lot of pride that was keeping me in the isolation. Like, oh, I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to ask for help. So the process of allowing people into your life is a very humbling experience. And you have to address a lot of the brokenness and a lot of your weaknesses to allow people in. And I vividly remember many days my freshman year when I was just so upset and I would want to stay in my room, and my roommate would come in and she was like, nope, you're not staying in the dark. We're getting out. And I think for me, it started to become real when someone put it into perspective. They were like, the enemy works in the dark. The enemy wants to see you alone. The enemy wants to distort your thinking. And it's the easiest place to do it alone. You know, usually right before you're going to sleep, your mind's running. So when it started to become like, no, this is a spiritual battle and I'm not letting the enemy win. I have the Lord in front of me fighting for me. That was like, okay, I'm going to have to be humble in this. I'm going to have to be obedient and allow others in because I don't want to see the enemy run this story. I'd say that's one thing. And then also the second thing that I learned in college was there's always someone for everyone. Like, you may think that you'll never find someone that is interested in, you know, A, B, and C, this, that, the third. But when you get to college, people have such diverse backgrounds, and it's really interesting to learn where everyone comes from, what they want to do. And maybe this is a Georgia Tech thing, but I would speak for probably most college campuses or wherever you're planted. They just have such rich backgrounds. And when you allow someone to share what they're going through, what they have gone through, you'll start to realize that there's people you never thought would exist, but they were made a special way for maybe a friendship with you.
That's strong. I mean, that'll preach. You know, I think a lot of times, especially in high school, you feel like you've got to fit in the box. You're like, okay. I mean, when I was in high school, we didn't have social media, so I can't even imagine what it's like now. In fact, in high school, I remember hearing about a camera phone, and I was like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Why do you need a camera on your phone? So that tells you how old I am.
That's funny.
But even then, like, you were still trying to fit into a mold. Like, okay, I need to dress that way. I need to act that way. I need to talk that way. Now, I mean, you throw in social media, and it's just, I mean, you just throw in, you know, gas on the fire, and just thinking, okay, I've got to be like XYZ, whatever it is. And you could even be thinking, okay, I'm doing pretty good. I feel good about myself. And then you get online, you see somebody that's doing, it looks like better. It looks like they're happier. It looks like all these things. And then you're like, well, then I guess something's wrong with me. Because I thought I was happy, but I want to be happy like that. When that person's probably actually feeling the exact same way, but they just happen to look right in that video or that picture or whatever. So just that comparison game and how the enemy can use that to steal our joy and just to make us think we don't have a purpose or we don't have, you know, whatever it may be. So I think that's great for you to share. It's great for all of us to hear, but I think especially younger people, just to think, okay, there is a bigger world out there, and maybe you see it more in college, but even beyond that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a question in there, but maybe just speak into that a little bit more of just balancing that and pursuing that even more.
Yeah, I mean, you described a very slippery slope. Like just yesterday, I think I was on Instagram having thoughts like that, and you just have to quickly realize this is a lie from the enemy. This is not from the Lord. You either gotta turn it off, whatever app you're on, walk away, and it's easier said than done. I mean, I'm pretty sure I was sitting on my phone yesterday for way too long scrolling instead of studying for my exam tomorrow. But yeah, it's going back to the obedience, discipline, the balance. You have to realize that you're fabricating a lie in your head, and you're going to keep pouring into that the more you scroll. And I think also with that, something that I've learned in this age of social media, because there have been so many great things come from it. I mean, when I was going through my injury, my sophomore year of college, I started posting a lot about that and being really, really vulnerable on TikTok. And that's honestly where a lot of my healing happened, because it started to build a community of people that were also going through eating disorders, that were also in this injury cycle, that had fallen out of love with their sport and were starting to enjoy it again. Being able to see social media in that light gave me an appreciation for it, and I saw the community power in it. But one thing that I also have learned is you have to pour into the people around you. You have to be where your feet are, and you can't have this online presence and be somebody there if you're not pouring into your neighbors and asking the people around you how they're doing. So I think for me, it's hard to balance. I mean, there's days when I want to, just look on Instagram and enjoy that, but then you also have to realize that you're building your community outside of it.
That's good. Yeah, I think we paint the picture like it's evil all the time, it's bad all the time, but like you said, like there's good on social media, and there's benefits to it, obviously. Yeah, I think what we're seeing right now with your guys' generation, there's, if you want to call it revival, you want to put that label on it. I'm not qualified to say what's a revival and what's not, but I think a lot of that is taking place because of social media. You see, these events that take place and where thousands are showing up and they're hearing the gospel and they're getting baptized. They're doing all these things that I think that has allowed this movement that's taking place to grow more and more, to where you feel like maybe you're a believer on a college campus where, it's not, great to be a believer. You feel pressured or whatever, but you can look and see, okay, there are other people like me that are they're trying to do this thing. They're trying to be a high level athlete and follow Christ. Okay, maybe that is helpful. Have you experienced that, in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, the thought that came up, like I lead a Bible study with my team, and we started doing it last spring, and it was awesome to have. I had pretty much my entire team came, which I didn't think was going to happen. Like that was wild in its own. But it was the realization that like I wanted to run it a certain way, and they weren't ready to run it that way. Like with that revival and with all that stuff, I feel like people are looking for fulfillment. They're looking for something to fill the void that's been created, whether that's pressure, whether that's anxiety, depression. I don't fit into a political place. I don't have a friend group that I'm super into. Like whatever the reason is, people are looking to be filled with something, and being filled with the Lord feels really good. Like you can say whatever you want. It feels great. Like, so getting into that Bible study, for my team, and having everybody being in such different places with their walk with the Lord and their search for fulfillment, to be able to start some people from square one and then have other people that were walking a little bit and learning, and the importance of, for me, I learned the importance of being present and how many people you can bring along by just being there. And the importance of knowing how to love people the right way, and knowing that sometimes loving someone a little bit differently goes so much further than trying to just carry them along, So yeah, I think those are really big.
What encouragement would you share for athletes that are listening, they're watching, their life has been their sport, right? They're playing in every tournament they can get to. They're traveling all over the place. Maybe they haven't been at church on Sunday in years because they're having to play, whatever their sport is. For those athletes that are chasing, right? They're chasing something. From where you sit now, what encouragement would you give them? What advice would you give them in that journey?
First, before any advice is given, I would say you're not doing anything wrong. Because I feel like a lot of the stuff that I ran into was we play volleyball tournaments are Friday to Sunday. Like, you're playing all weekend. You can't, like, if you're signed up for this team, that's your commitment. You can't make it to church. You can watch church online. Like, I would catch myself sitting in the airport listening to it. Like, church is available. Church is streamed. Like, you can find it. So seeking it out first is probably a really big, like, seek out the tools you have. But also, it doesn't make you a bad Christian because you're not sitting in church on Sunday. Like, and if somebody had told me that, I would have saved myself so much. Like, just, I would beat myself up over that. It was like, well, how do I sit here and tell my teammates that I love God and I'm not sitting in his house on Sunday? And I'm like, I don't pray enough. Like, just feeling like I'm not doing it the right way. When in all reality, there's no right way. Like, God is going to tell you how you're supposed to do it. You have to be willing to listen, and you have to be willing to obey, and your heart has to be open to it. But there's no rule book. I mean, the Bible, but like, there's no checklist of this is how it has to be done. It has to be on this time frame and this, that, and the other. So you're not doing anything wrong.
They're not doing anything wrong that they're chasing their sport, or they're chasing, wanting to be a D1 athlete or a pro athlete. There's nothing wrong with that. But in that, what would you advise them to do to make sure they don't lose themselves in it, where that doesn't become their identity, and then they wake up one day and go, well, I've completely lost my relationship with the Lord because I was so focused on volleyball or running or whatever it is.
I guess that there's just so much more out there. Like, I didn't realize until I got to encounter, just, it sounds so crazy to be 21 and like thinking that like, oh my gosh, there's such a big world out there. But that's honestly what it felt like. Like, I was talking to people, I was serving other people, and I was so full. Like, my cup was overflowing, and I hadn't felt that in so long because I had been so driven by the job I was doing. So yeah, there's so much joy, there's so much peace, there's so much love, and you can have all of that for your sport. But if you're not serving other people, loving other people, pouring into other people, it doesn't mean anything.
That's good.
Yeah.
Like, you experience a fraction of the Lord's kingdom when you confine yourself to just a sport.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think he can still use that sport
100%
to bring you to people. I mean, there's so many opportunities that I have had in my life because of the sports that I was involved with. And that's how we can see the Lord work too, seeing him plant us in those places. So I think my encouragement would be, it's not, like Liv said, it's not bad to have that desire on your heart, or to have these goals, to have these dreams in your sport. I think that's a testimony of the gifts that God gives us, that he allows us to enjoy the gifts and partake in a full life that includes sports. I mean, for Encounter Our Year, we went to Brazil, we went to Atibaia, and we hosted a sports camp, and seeing how soccer brought us together, like with a language barrier. I think sports can do so much for communities. And I think back to all the teammates and the coaches I had, they really made me the person that I am today. So I think my encouragement is don't lose sight of the journey. It's probably cliche. People say it all the time. But what I had to learn with my injuries is goals and dreams, they're going to change. You have to be flexible. You have to be willing to bend with it, because the Lord is writing something far greater than anything you could ever.
Yeah. And if it's aligned with his purpose, like, it's going to work out. I feel like is really big. Because a lot of my goals I would set not thinking like, maybe I should pray about this one first. Like, I'd just write the goal down, and really, like, again, going through Encounter and seeing other people and walking it out with other people, like, if it's aligned with him, it's gonna happen. So I've been walking through that season a lot. lately.
And invite the Lord into your sport, into your competitions.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason I love racing now is because I get to experience the Holy Spirit truly give me fresh wind at my feet and feel the Lord's breath in my lungs. That's not idolizing the sport, and that's not fabricating the sport so that God moves. That's allowing the Lord to show us another aspect of himself.
I think it's so huge what you're saying. I mean, it can be portrayed as, okay, like you said, it's not a bad thing what you're doing. Like but it's not, okay, I gotta give up my sport because it's, now some people that may be the case. It may be this become this idol that, you know, is in the way, but that's not necessarily always going to be how it is. I mean, how do you use your sport to honor and glorify God? Like there's 100 different ways a day you can do that. Sports is a great platform. I mean, that's why we do what we do, right? And, you know, FCA is what it's all about, is using that platform of sports to tell others about Jesus. And when you've been given a platform, you know, are you going to do that? Are you going to point others to him? Same thing. If God gave you $1 billion, how would you use that $1 billion, right? If God makes you, you know, crazy smart and lets you be a biomedical engineer major, you know, how are you going to use that, right? So all the things, like whatever God blesses you with, how are you going to use that? You know, it's not necessarily, okay, well, I've just got to live this life where, you know, I'm just, you know, I'm living in solitude, I'm following God, I can't do anything. Like, no, it's whatever he gives you, how are you going to use it? We have that responsibility. We have that blessing. I'm going to use my sport, my platform, my whatever it is to point others back to him. So that's really, I really appreciate how you guys have framed that up and worded that. I mean, we could keep going, you know. I think this could be, you know, our 2-hour episode. But we'll end it here. Like let's talk just you personally. Favorite scripture and favorite, let's see, I guess life lesson that you carry with you that you've learned through college. You've kind of touched on those, but we'll hit them back.
My favorite verse, Psalm 23. Got to go back to that one. That was I would say Psalm 139 and Psalm 23 were the first that I ever read with someone. So Shanta read Psalm 139 and broke it down with me, and then we read Psalm 23. And that was the first time I was really ever in the Word, and seeing how much the Lord loves us in just those two scriptures. I mean, the whole Bible is a book of his unfailing love, but seeing how it's written so clearly that we're his prized possession and that he nurtures us was and is something that I need to remind myself of daily, because life is hard and there's things pulling you in every direction, but you want to be able to pour into others. You want to be able to love others. And there's no way you can do that in this demanding world if you're not receiving love from the Lord. So I think, Psalm 23. I think I love the imagery of it too. I'm a very visual person, so imagining like these fields that you can lay in, and just like another way to see the Lord's splendor and see his glory, for me is really beautifully painted in Psalm 23. And let's see, for the life lesson in college, for me, is that the most important relationship that you'll ever have is with Jesus Christ. And there's so much excitement in that relationship. I think a lot of times that there can be, a relationship with Jesus can be confusing because the Bible is a hard book to go through at times when you're reading it alone. But the more that you learn about the Lord, the more that you see the Lord work in your life and others' lives, you realize how he's just full of so many good gifts. And the more you build your relationship with him, the more that you focus time on that and carve out time in a busy schedule to spend with the Lord is a way that relationship can be less confusing. And throughout college, I've seen the way that I can communicate with the Lord, like how my prayers just feel kind of like an ongoing conversation. When starting my walk with the Lord, it felt like I needed to have everything written out, know exactly what to say. And now I can be praying on a car ride. I can be praying on a run. It's really just the presence of the Lord is all around you. But you only get to experience that the more effort you put into the relationship.
And when Scripture talks about praying without ceasing, like we think, how can I even possibly do that? But just like you're talking about, like it's a part of everything we're doing. I think we feel like, okay, I got to bow my head, close my eyes, say a lot of thous and these, and just use all the right language. But it's not how it is. It's a real conversation with the Father who loves us and cares for us and just wants us to talk to Him. So that's powerful.
My dad has always preached Jeremiah 29:11. I think it just sums it up. Like, for I know the plans that I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you, never to forsake you. Like, it's summing up what He's doing, that He's never going to hurt you, and that everything has a reason. So, I mean, I think that's kind of it.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think we read that and we're like, okay, well, plans to prosper me. Okay, this is how I think God should prosper me. So, but wait, it's not line up for that. But you said it's His plan.
Absolutely.
Right,
yeah.
and He's got a plan. And I think resting in that, knowing that is so important. But that's really good.
Yeah, and then like a verse that's been more specific, like to the season of life I'm in right now, is like, your body's a temple and you were bought at a price. It's in 1 Corinthians. I can't remember the exact verse, but just that you were bought at a price is so, and I think it ties to Jeremiah 29:11, like knowing there's a path, but then knowing how valuable you are on that path.
That reminds me of Ephesians. We talked about in our Bible study that the Holy Spirit is a down payment.
Yeah.
So I do really like that idea of we were bought at the highest price.
Well, this has been a blessing.
That's good.
Sitting down with y'all. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. Just love hearing, how the Lord's working in your heart and how you're pointing others to Him. It's encouraging to me sitting here. So thank y'all. And thank you for joining us on Beyond the Game. We look forward to next time. Be sure and like and subscribe. Follow us on all social media platforms. And we'll see you next time.